welcome to the second of three reviews this week. Up this time is a game called Stranded Sails, which is an open world farming adventure filled with discoveries, quests, and puzzles. Along with your crew, you are shipwrecked on a mysterious archipelago. Now it is up to you to secure your survival and solve the mysteries deep in the heart of the islands and finally escape. We got a PlayStation 4 code for this, so this is about my extent of knowledge about Stranded Sails.
Mm-hmm.
And that it is a PlayStation 4 games, we will turn it over to Petty Fan for more details.
Alrighty. So the thing about stranded sails is you are stranded on an island. Who would have thought?
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it starts out with you kind of getting the crew back together and building shelters on this main island.
Mm.
And it involves a lot of various farming because you can go to different islands and find plants and stuff
Mm.
and, build up a farm. And then from there it starts going. I don't know how far into the game, but it eventually starts going into a thing where you can actually do some kind of combat. Because I was given a sword, so I don't know where exactly that goes.
How far did you get?
Clearly, it's an alternate farming tool. It's just for harvesting carrots better.
Yeah. Because we all know swords are used to harvest grain. Wait, no, that's heads. They harvest heads.
Yeah, it's hard to tell how far you are into the game, because I found all the rest of the crew. Everybody has houses on the island. And now I'm doing something about ancient symbols, so I don't know if I'm in the latter part or just getting to the halfway point.
None of us can help you.
Yeah.
Like, really, that's the kind of thing you'd probably look up in a guide or something.
I didn't see any guides for this, at least when I was working on it.
That's not surprising because I think that might have been we got this pre-release.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a thing I encounter a lot as well. It's like, we work with a lot of either pre-release or newly released games, and one of the downsides is they don't provide you with a walkthrough. You have to figure this shit out the old-fashioned way.
Back in my day.
It's like figuring out shit in the old-fashioned way sucks, quite frankly. I know there are people who romanticize the days of graph paper and exploration and all that shit. Look, I'm on the fucking clock, and I don't like getting stuck.
Ditto.
Yeah, I think the closest thing to getting stuck with this is more needing to find more materials to build stuff.
It sounds like a survival game as well as a farming simulator, so no surprise there.
Well, there's not as much surviving, because if you the blue bar at the top, that is your energy, and if it depletes, you just wake up in the cabin with maybe a few hours lost. But you don't lose any materials or anything like that.
So it's not like it's not like a survival game then.
Right.
Okay.
This would be more something I'd give to somebody who kind of enjoys Minecraft, but there's less building in this, if that makes sense.
So something that would appeal to, say, Naka or Ogre.
Yeah. I wouldn't make this a kid's first game, but it definitely skews younger than a lot of games we've reviewed, let's say.
Okay.
And as far as writing and stuff goes, it exists, but it started to kind of bore me after a little bit, so I've just been kind of pumping through it. Which, I mean, if you're into this, have fun, but,
I mean, this is an occupational hazard. We don't always review the games we like. We review the games we are given.
Well, gameplay-wise, this is fine, but it's just the story's kind of boring.
Fair enough. I mean, it doesn't sound like the story's the main focus anyway.
Yeah. Well, other than I think there's something about a curse that I think we need to deal with before we can go home. And there's
Right.
also a bunch of, like, crafting. Like, I can make food, I can make buildings, but it's not, like, freely crafting for buildings. Like, you have to have a certain amount of materials, and then you can just auto-build it. No time, no anything like that, just have the materials and it can be made.
Mm.
Sounds like Harvest Moon.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot like Harvest Moon, only with some kind of combat element.
So Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
Or what was it? Broom Factory.
Now, Rune Factory I have not played, so I can't really comment on that one. And like right now, I need to get the materials together to build a bridge making kit, which I can use to basically string across a gap so I can go across the bridge. But for that, I need to find more wood. And wood doesn't respawn, so you have to keep looking around various islands until you find, more wood.
Yep. That's how these games usually go.
Indeed.
I mean, it's why I'm not the biggest fan of survival or crafting games is because, oh boy, there's this one fucking unit of, say, iron that I can't fucking find, or coal, or, especially when we get into the exotic. Oh, Lord.
Like, I kind of wish there was less finite materials thing. Like, I could just go to a nearby island that had a growing forest that I could chop a few tree down and come back. Not having to search around the entire archipelago.
Yeah, that's not usually a thing you find in a campaign mode.
Yeah.
I know Dragon Quest Builders 2 has it, but yeah, that's one of the exceptions than the rule.
And like they did put some pretty funny kind of jabs at other things, like they have Krabby Patties. And like there's some other kind of interesting things in the like food descriptions that got a chuckle, but other than that, you basically just make food to refill your bar if you're going out, or you can also make a stew, which can level up your friendliness to the crew, and they can give you upgraded tools, as well as the food itself. If you eat the stew, you get a movement speed increase. And there is a sleep mechanic in the game where if you sleep all night, you can get a buff that you don't run out of stamina as quickly. Because, yeah, that blue bar is basically your life and your stamina at the same time. In that, if it runs out, you go back to the main camp, or you can just teleport back there with the map, and it brings the boat with you, which is kind of nice. And then, yeah, there's a sprint option. There's also a shovel for digging that can only be used on the farm, or like if you find treasure chests or whatever. There's a bucket that originally starts out, it can only do 1 square of water, but then you can upgrade it to do kind of like adjacent squares to you. Then there's the map, which I hope is self-explanatory. Wood chopping axe, again, self-explanatory. Telescope, right now this incarnation's pretty useless, because this is all you can look around. It's not a whole lot. And like you can also place markers in this view, but you can also do that on the map, and you have free reign on that.
Hmm.
And then the fishing mechanic is kind of like a rhythm game almost, where the more you hit it at the right time, the fish will get closer. And if you wait too long, the fish can put up a fight. And then there's the sword, which right now I currently don't have a use for it, but it's a thing that happens.
There will be uses for swords. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
always uses for swords.
Usually the one use, but always a good use.
Fair enough. And then you like also have like ingredients to manage, crafting components, various quest items, and then there are these things called artifacts, which are kind of the lore bits that you can find on, I think, most of the islands. And then, oh, do I close? There it is. All right. And yeah, that's about all there is gameplay wise. Now, for, I guess, fit and finish type things, there are sometimes you can get caught on the environment of the terrain, and I haven't got myself completely trapped, but I have had to spend a good couple minutes trying to work my way out of some of these.
Hmm.
And then, as far as music, there are some music pieces that loop and some that don't. Like, I think the theme at the campsite is the one that doesn't loop. And then I think there's one other one. But yeah, that's, I guess, it's less of a pain on PS4 because you have Spotify built in, so you can just, turn on your own music and mute the in-game music if you want to.
Mm.
Again, personal preference.
I do that on occasion.
Mhm.
Not so much music, but I listen to a lot of Roman history while playing Amaterasu Riddle Star. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah, I usually have like YouTube playlist on my computer or Spotify on my PS4.
Yeah. Don't have a Spotify account,
Mhm.
but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. And then I don't really know what. Well, I imagine what the main end goal is here. Get everybody back home. But yeah, there's also some kind of things I'm not a fan with the regular crafting, because to like make new recipes, it it lets you basically brute force it almost, because you have to get the ingredients in the correct order.
Hmm.
But it tells you like, hey, this one's out of place or this one's right. But it's not actually, it won't tell you the carrots are in the right place or the um uh corn needs to go here. It's just, you know, wrong place, right item, right place, wrong item type thing.
Hmm.
And then also sometimes the menu navigation is weird. Like I've got my cursor trapped a few times and had to reload the game completely.
Hmm.
So
That
that's
sounds weird.
Indeed.
this game is also on Steam, so I
Mhm.
imagine it's more wanting to try and do mouse movement, and they just didn't implement the PS4 touchpad on here because that would make this so much easier. And then I can't really think of anything else.
Price?
Yeah, price. I didn't catch what it was on PS4, but Steam's has it marked at 15.
I'm seeing $24.99.
Yeah.
On both PlayStation 4 and Steam. So presumably the Xbox One version is also $25.
Yeah. And like the recommendation at that price, it really depends. Like if you have children around, this would be something to play with them, but I don't really know how much enjoyment adult would get out of this.
Hmm.
Like it's an interesting time sink, but you can get better farming mechanics in Stardew Valley, better crafting stuff from Minecraft and the like, and better survival stuff from, other games that are cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you specifically want the pirate setting thing, there isn't really a whole lot that, to go for this game, unless we're talking about like in a vacuum, which even then, it's still, because it's skewed young, it's not as interesting to me personally.
Hmm. All right then. Anything else you want to say?
Um, Not really. Like, I didn't hate the game, but it's just, how do I put this? Lacking in stuff. It tries to be a jack of all trades, but master of none type deal.
Hmm.
Like, the separate aspects of it are done better in different games and come together between some lack of polished stuff and just lack of freedom really hinders it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's all I got on that one.
Okay. So that'll about do it for Stranded Sales. Be sure to tune in after the break as we, as i.e. Gallix, will be reviewing Morphe's Law Remorphed.